this out. I call it my proper fueling plate. So just take one and pass it back. It didn't come out in color, unfortunately, but it's kind of a guide for you guys to think about when consuming your meals. So about 50% of the plate should be complex carbs. That's whole grain pastas, whole wheat bread, which this kind of plate is not for the general non-athlete population. You guys are special. You guys get to eat about 25% more carbs than everybody else, which is great. Carbs are awesome. 25% of the plate should be lean protein, grilled chicken, lean beef, whatever you guys like to eat. And then the other quarter of it would be fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables, not just fruits. I know if we had to choose, everybody would probably choose fruit every time. But vegetables are also essential. That's the micronutrient aspect and fiber and stuff that hopefully we'll talk about later. And then a nutritional beverage. So in the morning for breakfast, that can be something like a glass of fortified orange juice that's from 100% real juice. It can be a glass of skim milk, something that provides nutrients, not pop, not regular juice, that complements the meal. So, like I said, it comes in color up on here, so half of it's complex carbs, fruits and vegetables, lean protein, and dairy. So it's something that you can use breakfast, lunch, and dinner to kind of guide your thinking on that. So, and then I also on the handout I passed out, there's sample meals. So things that you can do for breakfast, lunch, dinner, just some examples. You guys are more than welcome to use creativity and suggestions on what you guys like to eat, but try to include some things. Like, I personally really like burritos, so I wanted to include something like that that would be a healthy option. Alright, does anybody have any questions right now? I'm going to do another presentation after this. We'll take a little break so you guys can stretch and take some time, but I'm open for any questions on this topic or anything else. Yes? Right. Great question. Those have a lot of protein in them. For most of you guys, too much protein, your body can't process all of it, and it just ends up being just really expensive waste. Unfortunately, you have to be careful with those as well. I think I'll mention this in my next presentation. There's always the risk of them being contaminated. There's no regulation on protein supplements, so they can pretty much put whatever in them. There's ways you can find out what has in it and keep yourself safe, but generally they're not advised unless you're... Some of the older guys could benefit from it depending on how much protein they get from their diet, but I think a lot of you guys will be getting enough from the food you eat, and it's more bioavailable from the food you eat as opposed to protein shakes, but we can talk about that individually if you're interested. Anybody else? More questions? So what's next? Fueling for performance. So this is a little bit more applicable to what you guys do every day. It's a really cool way to look at how food, training, all of that works together. Swim meets, training, and yeah, so I want you guys to take about a 5-minute break or so. Stand up, walk around. Please come back. Stretch it out a little bit, and we'll talk about fueling for performance. So you guys chat a little bit, and then we'll get started. I can't sit through an hour class, so I will make the time do it.
At our school, we have hours.
Yes.
What do you eat like during swim meets? Like, I know you mentioned race and stuff like that. Like
That is coming up. If competition, post-race fueling, fueling for workouts, and then I have another handout to discuss and pass around that kind of puts everything together in a nice format. All right, so the days leading up to competition. Does anybody have any ideas about what kind of foods? I'd like to take some examples from the audience if you guys have any things that you guys do specifically already before races with food. Yeah?
About 2 days before big meets, I'll have spaghetti noodles.
Lots of carbs, okay. All right, anything else? What about the younger group? Do you guys do anything kind of what mom and dad make put in front of you? You guys request anything special? No? All right, yeah?
Beets are really good for you before races, so I have
Beets?
yeah.
All right, very cool. Beets work, yeah, Remy? Tortellini. Very cool, yeah.
Just staying hydrated, that's it.
Good answer. That's a great answer. Just staying hydrated. Well, you also want to eat food with the hydration. just some advice.
Just
So, unfortunately, darn, there is no magic food or meal that you can use. If you have something you like, if beets work for you, keep eating them. I always had pineapple was my thing that I always had. But there's really nothing that you can do the week before a competition to make you swim faster, other than having a healthy, balanced diet. So, balancing your meals with the proper fueling plate, with the carbs and the protein and the vegetables, super critical. This is, especially big competitions these days, are important. You don't want to be eating those trans fats. You want to be avoiding the fast food, the pop, things that could negatively impact your performance. So, healthy eating 101, basically. It's a couple days leading up to it. So, I know Daniel up here mentioned carb loading. Carb loading is when you consume lots of carbohydrates before your competition. Seems like a really good idea. You're putting more and more fuel into your body, gets used more. Unfortunately, that's not really how your body works. If your body's not a big fan of this, usually what happens is for every gram of carbohydrate you consume, your body stores 3 grams of water. So if you guys ever eat a large carbohydrate meal, you feel bloated, you feel really full, you just feel a little bit off and sluggish, it's actually the carbs that are doing that. So eating a healthy balance of carbs is really a good idea, but overloading on them, definitely try to avoid. I'm not saying if your team has a pasta dinner, please go. It's a team bonding experience, but try and find the healthier whole wheat pastas, the proteins, the vegetables. Somebody will always bring a salad. So not advised. Just keeping balanced meal. Lots of fluids. So August had a good point there with making sure you're really focusing on your hydration. Extra critical at this point. Alright, so pre-race. So you wake up, you have a couple hours before your first race. Sometimes it's a morning session, sometimes it's an afternoon session. If you have a prelims finals meet in the same day, treat this pre-race meal like you would a prelim session, redo it for the final session. So it would be twice in a day that you would be going through this process. So 3 to 4 hours. I'm not saying wake up at 4 a.m. if your meet is at 8, but definitely early on the better. Focusing on complex carbohydrates and protein. Mostly the carbohydrates are what's important on this day. Solid meals that'll keep you full through the morning. I'm talking oatmeal, I'm talking eggs, whole grain waffles, whatever's going to keep you full for quite a while. Yogurt, fruit, granola, all that good stuff. A bowl of cereal, though, a good snack is not going to keep you full for very long. So breakfast for morning competition, and then breakfast and lunch for afternoon competition. So that would just be repeating it for carbohydrates are where this time is to eat them, to consume them, because it'll raise your blood sugars. So that way, when you hit your race, your blood sugars are going to be at their maximum, and you'll be able to use them best as possible. So, like I said, fruit snacks, Gatorade, whole fruit. Oranges are a great source of glucose. They've got some added vitamins and minerals in them too, so it's good. So I say avoid bananas. Does anybody have any idea why bananas would be very good right before a big race? You can have them in this time period, but 30 minutes to an hour before, it's always a little bit risky. Anybody? Yeah, Alex? Actually, no, it's a good idea. Bananas do have potassium. They don't have that much potassium in it. They're really hard to digest. Your body can digest them, but it takes a long time, and you don't really want to mess with foods just getting kind of caught in your stomach, not really able to digest it. It's just not very pleasant for you or your competitors if banana doesn't get digested. Dry cereal, I like to call it adult cereal. Kids cereals are great. They taste good, but the adult cereals have more complex carbohydrates. So like in this sense, eating mini wheats, they have a little bit of simple carbohydrates, a little bit of complex carbohydrates. Cheerios, Honey Nut Cheerios are great. Raisin Bran, if you guys like that, it's pretty great cereal. I'm a fan. So something along those lines. Corn Flakes are pretty good. I think on my sheet I put Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes. Those things are okay. If that's the only thing you have to eat, eat it. But try and go for the more substantive items. So oatmeal, yes, important. All right, during competition. So immediately after your first race, get in some 200 backstroke, and now what? You're probably not feeling super hungry, but you can still try and get some carbohydrates into your system. So like I said, they're important because of Healthy Eating 101. Your body needs them to fuel, to run. So these should be light, small snacks, just to keep the energy levels up. Fruit snacks, whole fruit, granola bars. Some good options for those are Cliff, Kind. The Nature Valley protein bars are really great sources of both carbs and protein. Gatorade, dry cereal. A lot of this depends on how soon your next race is. You don't want to be eating a granola bar if you have to swim again in 5 minutes. That's where the Gatorade would come in, or sports drinks. I promise I don't work for Gatorade. I would love to, but I think their product in moderation can be really useful for athletes, so that's why I keep bringing it up. During long breaks, so you're swimming the first event, you're swimming the last event. You need to eat a meal somewhere in there. It can be a light snack, or a large snack, or a small meal.